Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back once again to the CERCA Monthly Expert Talk. To lead the Ips Foundation. He has been instrumental in the founding of the India Paryavaran Sahayak Foundation, which was set up with the intent to make a serious and honest contribution towards solving the air quality crisis. Mr. Bhatia strongly felt the need to work in the social sector and make a positive contribution to society. High pollution levels in Delhi NCR are a common concern, and we wanted to be on the problem solving side instead of merely discussing the issue socially. Let me welcome Ritesh to today's session. Ritesh would be speaking on stubble burning, what to expect in the next month. Over to Ritesh.
Yeah, thanks, Hemant. Am I audible?
Yeah, a little louder.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I would say this is an annual event. Every year in September, October, we start the same discussion, and I think we are back again on this serious topic. So I will quickly take you through what we have been doing and what we see things and how we see things on ground. So I'll share my screen first. Is it visible?
Yes.
So, good evening once again. It's a burning issue. It's a burning topic, as Hemant pointed out. How I've structured my presentation is that very quickly I'll briefly explain you what Ips Foundation is all about, but I won't take much time there. And then we will move on to the issue, which is the stubble burning. In that, I am going with the assumption that the people here would already know the issue, the stubble burning issue, the cause of that issue. So I won't go into detail of all that because we only have a limited time. So what I will take you through is that what has happened in last 3 to 4 years and where do we stand today, because any action plan from now onward should be basis the ground that we've already achieved. So I would want everyone to be aware of what we have already achieved so far, and going forward, do we foresee immediate solution to this issue, or we can expect another round of pollution in the coming months. So that's how I structured. But in case you have any specific queries, I'll be happy to answer. So Ips Foundation is a Section 8 company, which is a non-profit entity, which was set up in 2018, and it's been working on the environmental issues, and Punjab is a specific area that we are working in, and we have 3 impact areas that we work on. One is the crop residue management, then is the plantation or agroforestry that we work with the communities that we work in, and we've just started that last year, and we've already covered around 75,000 planting between last year and this year. The third is that we work on the water. We work on reviving the village sanitation infrastructure or water harvesting and conservation infrastructure, both for rainwater and the ponds that are already there in the villages. And it is largely done through community participation. On the stubble side, our model is twofold. One we call as high touch model, where we work closely on ground with the farmers and with the farmer families. We have our people deployed there, and we have programs rolled out through our teams, and we also do.
Just one small interruption, Ritesh. Can you speak a little louder?
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it better now, or you want it to be better?
Yeah, this is better. Yeah, this seems to be.
Okay. So the high touch model, as I said, is where our teams are positioned, and we work closely with identified villages. So we have around 162 villages that we work in, which is close to 1.75 lakh of paddy area. Then we also have low touch model, where we don't have people on ground, but we support government for a large impact interventions. So we work with Department of Agriculture, Department of Cooperative Societies to support them in the cause. These are just few images of our work. We were fortunate to have been awarded by the Chief Minister of Punjab in 2019 for our work. These are some of the corporates that are supporting the initiative through IPS, through their CSR pool, and we are thankful to them that they partnered on this cause with us. Coming back to the topic, let's quickly see what has happened in last 3 to 4 years on this issue. Right? With all the focus that have come in, with all the Supreme Court intervention and other interventions that have been made, and I'm only talking about Punjab because that's our main area of operation, the government has or had opted in situ as a route to manage this large volume. So what was thought was that there is a need for mechanization, there is a need to support machines delivery to the farmer so that they can manage sowing in that short window with the standing stubble. So there were close to 95,000 machines that have already been provided under the center's government funded scheme, and another 25 to 30,000 machines are being rolled out this year. So we will have close to 1.2 lakh machines on ground by October, mid October, and this is all funded by the center government. So Punjab would have received around 1,000 crore rupees in last couple of 3 years on these machines. A sizable share of money has been allocated towards IEC activities. So come in Punjab in October, you will see the entire state running the IEC campaign on the ill effects of burning, not to burn, the appeals from the chief minister, the farmer sessions happening in each villages by the department. So there's a substantial effort going on the IEC activities. Recently, last year, the focus has also shifted to include ex situ solution in a bigger way. So till last year, it was largely focused on in situ, so there were incentives given on machines. But now government is also promoting ex situ solutions. So there are plants on biomass plants, ethanol, industrial use. There is a mandate to thermal plants to use 10%, mix 10% of these stubble pellets with the coal for burning. But currently we only have around 8 lakh metric tons being consumed, and there is a plan to take it to 2.5, 2.6 million plus the 10% mixing, but it's a long drawn battle. So as we speak, the immediate addressal of this is being seen through in situ management, and the biodecomposers are all part of the in situ solutions. One would ask that if so much has happened, there is so much that the focus has been there in last 3 to 4 years on this effort. So where do we stand today? Have we addressed the issue, and what do we expect in the coming season? If you look at let's look at the captured fire counts in Punjab. You can clearly see that the challenge still remains with all the efforts that have been made. The challenge on ground still remains, and these are fire counts in the paddy season, although there have been fire counts in the wheat harvest also, but this is all paddy. Now, if you look at the trend, you will see the vulnerability of this particular issue or susceptibility of this particular issue to the political environment. In 2016, we had those 80,000 fire counts, and that was the time which was when the state elections were announced, and they were to happen in Feb 2017. In 2017, there was a dip. That was the time when the first time scheme was launched, machines were being given. There was so much hype that was created on ground. People were participating. So 2017-18, you see there is a bit of participation from the farmers because there are new machines coming in. There were focus there. 2019 onwards, if you see, there is again susceptibility to the political environment. That was the time when the farmer protests were beginning to happen, and 2020 was the peak of the farmer protests. So there was a lot of protest burning, I would say, just to show their strength that they can cause pollution to a particular area. 2021, this number is only 71,000, but in my estimate, this number would have been more than 80,000. just got saved because of there was a 1 week rain spell at the time of harvest. So all the burning had to stop, all the harvest had to stop. So everything burnt at the same time. So while we would see the fire counts to be low, but the intensity would have been higher. So that is why this number is little low. Otherwise, it would have been more than 76,000. As I said, the susceptibility to the political environment, the momentum in this year also has started, where when the government this year again started promoting non-burning, and there were orders issued by DCs and DCs that there will be challans, there will be this. This is the recent news that has come 2 to 3 days back, where some group farmers are really up and against the government and saying, okay, if you're threatening us, then we will also tell you what will happen. So this is how this whole issue is so vulnerable to the political environment and to these union environment. And just to tell you that the fire incidents have already started. In the last few days, there are already 250 fire counts that have been killed in Punjab. The harvest is yet to start. The full-scale harvest is yet to start. Let's do a quick reality check as to what is happening on ground. So if you see, the entire approach, entire movement has been through mechanization effort for in-situ management. So there were machines given at 50% subsidy, there were machines given at 80% subsidies to promote sharing of machine renting, but use these machines to manage stubble in the field. Now let's take each one of them and see what has happened in last 4 years on each of this front. If you see the mix of machine, these are largely four machines that are talked about. There are other machines also. But happy seeder, super seeder, these are sowing machines. RMB plow used for again sowing, but for potato cultivation, farmers would use RMB plow to turn around the soil. Then there are super SMS, which is fitted behind the combine harvester. These are the four key machines that are used by the farmer. Let's look each one of them. Super SMS is a critical machine before happy seeder or super seeder can work, or even RMB plow can work. And more importantly, when you're using a Pusa 44, a particular variety which is high stubble generating variety, you need super SMS to be fitted and functional on the combine. Unfortunately, that machine has been neglected by the farmer. So you will see adoption rate as low as 10 to 11% on combines. Now, what happens with non-adoption of SMS is that the performance of the subsequent sowing machine, be it happy seeder or super seeder, takes a beating, because with so much stubble on ground, and if it has not been cut by super SMS only cuts the stubble which is getting thrown from the combine and spreads it in the field. So if that has not been done, the performance on happy seeder and super seeder will take a beating. So you can see, if super SMS is getting neglected, it is making a big dent in the entire effort. Now there are various reasons that farmers claim that why they are not using super SMS. There are low quality of products that are being offered. People have just gone ahead and got SMSs fitted because there was a mandate from the government. But net, the super SMS has not been a success, which therefore led to a downward trend in the adoption of happy seeder. As I mentioned, that if you don't have a super SMS in the harvester, your happy seeders may not function that effectively, especially if you're using a high stubble generating varieties. In last 2 years that we have seen, in first year, happy seeder was a star. They were buying that. It was on offer from the government. But very soon we saw that it started a downward trend. People started, they stopped using it. And what also happened was there was a pest attack in 2019, which people started linking to happy seeder, that because we used happy seeder, so there was this pesticide. So all these things, and there was a new machine that got introduced, which is super seeder. just 1.5 years after launch of Happy Seeder, so which dented the Happy Seeder adoption. Now, if you see a large chunk of Happy Seeder, which is around 13,000 machines, are in a way redundant, because although on papers they have been with the farmers, they have been sold, but if you're not using it, there is no actual impact of that machine on ground. Now, thirdly, if you see the mix, 60 to 70% of the machines are given on the custom hiring centers and registered cooperative societies. Now, the intent of the government was very good, that these are 1.5 lakh to 2 lakh worth of machine. Now the machine prices are 2.5 lakh. Not every farmer should buy these machines because their utilization is only for that 15-day window. So they should not be spending capex on these machines, especially small farmers. So we should promote sharing of machine through renting. So they had a concept called custom hiring center, where 8 farmers can come together and form a custom hiring center and take the machine at 80% discount. Similarly for registered cooperative society. But what has happened is that on ground, these utilization of these segment has not been optimal so far. So a machine can do 80 to 90 acres to 100 acres in that season. Our estimate is that they are little above 35 to 40 acres. So there is still a huge gap in their utilization level. Now all this leads to a perception that there is no availability of machines on ground. So when you talk to somebody, they'll say, we don't find machines, we don't see machines. All of that is because of mix of these things, that Happy Seeders are like lying idle. The stress is on just one machine, Super Seeder, and that too cooperatives and custom hirings are not able to reach out because there is no intent there. So as a mix of all this, there's a vicious circle that there are no machines, or there are no adequate machines on ground. Another trend that has emerged, and I keep sharing this with everyone, is a trend of partial burning. What has happened is that with the increasing cost structures, and especially with the increasing fuel price in the last couple of years, and with the introduction of machines, farmers have come up with their own mix of solution, which they call as a partial burning with machine sowing. Now, just for your understanding, what is partial burning? The thing on left that you see, the field harvested with Super SMS. So this is a non-burn practice. So you will harvest the field with the Super SMS, fitted combine. Then you will use either Happy Seeder or Super Seeder or any other implement. It can be rotavator or zental drill. And then you will have a germination in your field. Non-burning, all the mulch is lying on the field, it will decompose over a period of time. But what you see on your right are the burning methods. So in that, you can have a harvested field without SMS. So you will see this thick layer of stubble on ground, which is this. And after this, you have only 2 options. Either you burn the field fully, which is cut this entire thing and just light it up, or what farmers do is that they will burn this top layer, which is a dry stubble. So it will burn fast, it will be faster, it will be cost economic for them, and this is how the field will be after partial burning. So you will see some standing stubble and the top layer is all gone. And in this, you can use any machine that you have. You can use zero-till drills, you can use rotavators, Happy Seeder, Super Seeder. This is emerging as a new trend in the farming community. Now, in a way, it's a battle half won, because we have reached from full burning to partial burning. So farmer claims is that I'm only burning the top dry layer, so which is also not leading to so much of pollution, because all the smog is in the moisture in the roots. So I'm not burning that. Plus, with decomposition, this standing stubble will help in improving my soil. Plus, it saves time and cost to me. Now, in our estimate, 80% of the burning last year was on partial burning. So, if you see someone saying that they're using machine, likely chances are that they would have not used SMS, they would have burned the top layer and then used the machine. That is a stage that we have reached in last couple of years. From full burning to partial burning is what my estimate is. And as per them, the economic benefit of partial burning with mechanized sowing is compelling. Now, we've just given you a comparison. This is the data that we have captured from the farmers, and this is economics for owned machines. So I'm not showing numbers on the rented machines. So if you see clearly the orange bar or the middle bar, which is the partial burning, is emerging as a economical proposition for the farmer, because he doesn't have to do anything. He just have to burn the top layer. It will finish in 5 to 10 minutes depending on the size, and then you can bring in your own machine and sow the next crop. Whereas if you have to do full burning, then you will have to deploy a cutter, which is either you will take it on rent or you will have expense on diesel to chop the entire field and then burn it. So why even spend money there? Just burn the top layer and do the job. As against non-burning, for non-burning it is mandatory that you either do super SMS or you deploy labor to manage the stubble and then use any machine. So this is what the economics of partial burning and mechanized sowing is emerging for the farmer. So what is this fuss all about? Why is it so much confusion in the farmer? What he sees today for this entire problem, and I'm showing these points from his perspective. He has an assured crop return. There is a MSP supported crop return on paddy and wheat in Punjab. So why change it? You are getting money, you are getting 5 to 8% increase in the MSP every year. So it's a good return. Secondly, a large portion of land in Punjab is on leased, sub-leased, because a lot of farming is absentee farmers. The landlords are not tilling the lands themselves. So maybe a guy who's a 5-acre owner of 5-acre land, he may be tilling 50 acres because he would have taken 45 acres on lease. Now these lease rentals in Punjab are high. They range from 70,000, 75,000 rupees per acre per annum, which is huge. So when you're taking a land on lease at this rate, you try to maximize return. So then your motivation is not to do all these non-burning efforts. So even if it leads to increase in soil fertility, it's not my land, it's somebody else's land. I may not be the tiller next year. So let's focus on maximizing my return this year. Change leads to increased costs. So again, why change? There have been residue-related pest issues, as I told you. So, which is also a risk that he is carrying in his mind, that if I start using these machines or non-burn practices, I've heard there have been pest issues. Variety and soil-related management challenges still remain. As I said, there was a pest attack in paddy last year. There was a pest attack in wheat. And as we speak, what I understand is there has been a pest attack and water issue recently in Punjab because of this rain spell. Then there is technology confusion. In 2017, you told me it is happy seeder. Then in 2018 or 19, you told me there is a super seeder also that has been launched. Then came smart seeder. Then there is a friend seeder. So in 3 to 4 years, there have been 3-4 machines that have been launched. Now, I'm not against technology innovation, but look at from farmer perspective, too frequent launches, one after the other, is actually creating confusion that maybe there is another better option coming next year, or should I wait for that, or is this the final list? Then there is a peer pressure, there is a union pressure. The news clipping that I shared with you is clearly an example of that, and we have seen that in the farmer protest also. There was tremendous union pressure to participate in the burning. There has been limited extension support, although PAU and Department of Agriculture do their best to extend extension support, but to reaching out to such a large mass, and especially when there is a pest attack, then it needs immediate. There have been challenges there. Pollution is not an issue from a farmer perspective. It's just a 10-day event. his AQI is fairly better throughout the year. So it's a just 10-day thing. And now with partial burning, in any case, I'm not polluting the environment that way. But what we tell him and what we want him to see is we tell him there is ease, your soil health will be improved, your crop returns and your yields will improve, the environment will be better. Now, from his perspective, what you're saying today is all futuristic. It's all unknown domain for me. That yes, this will happen in 3 to 4 years, this will happen now. But what I'm experiencing now is what is I'm experiencing on the left side. So that's the gap which I think is there in farmers' mind, that should I adopt, should I not adopt, or should I stick to the status quo? So what can be done? So we have discussed a number of times that there are long-term. Can you mute yourself? Hello. Yeah. So the solutions that we've been talking is that there is a need to introduce a short duration paddy variety, because Pusa 44 has been a variety that has caused maximum burning, because it's a variety that generates maximum stubble, 3.2 to 3.5 metric tons per acre. So obviously managing that stubble without SMS harvesting becomes a challenge. So it ultimately leads to large scale burning there. There is a need for crop diversification, as we've been talking, but because of this assured MSP, the farmer only compares any other crop with the returns that they get either on paddy or wheat. So to match a paddy return with any other crop, there is no answer today. For example, on maize, if you have to promote maize, then you may have to incentivize the farmer to the tune of 9 to 10,000 rupees per acre, which is a substantial sum of money. So there is no assured market also as against, or for paddy and wheat, there is a assured buying from FCI. Alternate for stubble, they have been working on it, but it's a long drawn process. There's a capex on ground required. There's a plan for 41 units to be set up for biomass. But again, it's a 3 to 4 year process, and there are multiple challenges there. So net, your immediate solution, as it looks like, is that we will have to continue working on the infield management. But I'll change my opinion that it is not immediate. Even infield management, with our experience, it's again medium to long term with all the situations on ground. So what can we expect, or what we can do right immediately is that, to my view, this journey is longer than we anticipated. We thought 3 to 4 years of effort and we will see drastic improvement because we have a solution in the form of machines. So it's just a matter of educating farmer and we will win this battle. But as it stands today, I think the battle is a little longer than what we expected it to be. So it will require a lot of patience from all sides. And recent rain spell last month, there has been damage on the paddy crop. So non-burning promotion, this is my opinion, may take a hit, because when the farmer's field is totally damaged, it's a little difficult to tell him that you now please manage the stubble also. So this is my personal view that we will see some challenges there. Another thing that we have to do and we should do is that we need to capture farmers' voice more designing these machines. And I'm just taking this from the experience that there was a happy seeder that was launched. Then within 1 year there was a super seeder, smart seeder, friend seeder. Why are we confusing the farmers so much? And we have the super SMS, which is farmer is not accepting it. Can't we have farmer's voice captured effectively and then design a product addressing what exactly his need is? We also need to enhance research and introduction of short duration varieties. The work is already on from PAU side. There have been varieties that have been introduced, but still all the varieties fall short in terms of per acre yield as compared to PUSA 44. So there is still that gap that needs to be bridged. Lastly, what my view is that instead of just focusing on stubble, there is a bigger issue that Punjab is facing, and stubble is one part of it. There is an issue of water, there is an issue of pesticide, excessive pesticide and usage, and then there is residue management. Can we focus on bringing all these issues together under a say umbrella of a good agricultural practices, and then start addressing this issue and maybe bring the carbon market into play? Because we have seen carbon market opening up. There have been not much that has been done on the farmer side, on the agriculture side. So can we look at that aspect also? Net, we have to make things financially viable for him to adopt. And I keep saying, if there is a strong consumer pull, rest everything will fall in place. We will have to just not put so much effort on IEC and all. If the farmer sees an economic benefit, today the economic benefit is what I shared with you, is not in favor of full non-burning. So once he sees the economic benefit, there will be a strong consumer pull. But only word of caution here is that we should not, through incentives, make paddy so lucrative that it creates a bigger monster and a challenge. It is already a challenge on waterfront, but we should not make it so attractive that we end up being trapped in a bigger challenge of water depletion in Punjab, as we are seeing. So we will have to make it economically viable. The solution has to be economically viable. As we stand today, I see a gap there. Although our efforts on ground will continue and we'll keep working with farmers, with the government, but I think there is a bigger economical issue that still needs to be addressed if we really want to solve this problem. Hemant? Hello, Hemant?
Yeah, thank you, Ritesh, for an excellent talk. It was an eye-opener on many fronts. Now we'll start our question answer session, and I'll request Priyanka to answer these questions. Priyanka.
Thank you, sir. So our first question.
Your voice.
Our first question is from Dr. Mohit Kumar. How farmers ensure that stubble is partially burnt only? How the burning of stubble is being restricted to upper half part only?
So what happens is that the upper part is a dry layer. Once you harvest it, it's a dry layer. Now, when you burn the dry layer, you navigate that fire. So you navigate the process so that only the top layer is burning. The fire is not spilling over to the other field. But when I say partial burning, then the standing stubble also 50% of that is also burnt. So I won't say that they can control the fire from not going down below. So, but they navigate that particular process. So practically around 50% is burned in that process. Although the top layer is only 25% of the total stubble in the field.
Our next question is from Karan Rao. The question says, I read an article about the water policy being responsible for timing of sowing, which then requires burning. What are the reasons the policy cannot be reversed?
So, so what was happening that is one of the reasons that we have this issue, that till say 2000, so sometime back, there was a free this thing that whenever your land is ready and with the environment permits, you can sow, you can transplant paddy. But paddy requires standing water all the time. That is largely for the weed management. When you are doing that, and when you're doing it little too early, say in early June, the temperatures are high, and so to maintain the water level, because the evaporation is also high, you have to keep filling the field, which was leading too much pressure on the groundwater. So the intent was that closer to the rains or the onset of monsoon, you you should start transplanting so that most of the water consumption is met through the rainwater. And that is the reason that they started dictating through Water Conservation Act, I think 2009, they started dictating the timing of the planting, which is around mid July or something, so that you can link it to the onset of monsoon, and so the groundwater is less depleted. Now that leads to a shorter window at the back end, and therefore this rush to manage the stubble and sow the next crop and burn the field if required, so that your field is ready. So if you remove that, if you let the farmer sow early, the pressure on water is low, so the depletion of groundwater is high.
So next question is from Rajan Deep Singh. The question says, monitor can satellite monitor partial burning, like we differentiate between partial burning and full burning?
Yes, it can. It can to some extent because they use thermal imaging. There are other methods. But what happens with the remote sensing monitoring is that it is again a time bound activity. So it only it captures at a particular day, time of the day. I think there's one at the morning, then there's in the evening. So those things are done at that particular time. So capturing is at say 10:30, 11, and then at 4, 5 p.m. And then they also use thermal imaging. So answer is that yes, there are technologies available through which we can capture full burning to partial burning through image mapping and through I think color mapping or something that they do. Because a fully burnt field is totally black versus a partial burnt field will show a different type of landscape.
Okay, so next question is from Karan. As partial burning is a new trend, what are the total impacts from partial burning, and what are your guessed estimate of the impact compared to full burning?
See, these are not documented as yet. So I'm also looking forward to those documented results, and we have initiated some process. But an estimate would say that most of the moisture is in the standing stubble, the stubble that is in the ground. So maximum moistures will be there. So when that burns, the smog levels will be higher. So as compared to that, burning of top layer does generate little lesser intensity of smog, but I don't have a validated number as to tell you that this is the reduction in the pollution levels by burning the top layer, because that I think that analysis has not been done so far.
Next question is from Professor Vasant Matsagar. The question says, what are the impediments in educating farmers to convert the stubble at farmland itself in some revenue-generating industrial products gainfully, for example, biocomposite, instead of burning them?
So I think the issue is twofold. One, there are no ready market for these products, because if he has to manage the stubble in the field by taking it out and working on it, there is a cost involved in that. Plus, 3.5 metric tons of stubble from an acre of a plot is a sizable stubble to manage. Now, each farmer doesn't have so much of land that he can, because land value is high in Punjab, it can generate lot much more than storing stubble on ground. So, farmer tend to use the entire land for wheat paddy cycle. If he has to manage the stubble for some alternate methods or products, then we will need to support him through market access and through particular revenue stream, which justifies his investment both on time and money in that effort. That unfortunately we have not seen on ground.
Next question is from Anne from APAG. The question says, would guaranteeing MSP alone shift farmers from paddy to other alternatives? Would it be required to persuasion in terms of addressing operational challenges like pest, rodent management, etc., if any?
So I'm assuming, so your question is not very clear that will the MSP support in other crops help him to shift from paddy to any other crop, or Rekha, can you repeat the question?
Uh, the question says, would guaranteeing MSP alone shift farmers from paddy to other alternatives? Would it be require any persuasion in terms of addressing operational
Okay.
challenges?
So I think if you look at Punjab and any other region for that matter, farmers are well aware of the crops and products that their land is capable of growing. And if you see before this green revolution where wheat and paddy became a major crop in Punjab and they started feeding the entire country, there were other crops that were being grown in Punjab. So each district, each block will have, depending upon the weather condition and the soil type, farmers were growing, say, millets, pulses, maize, sugarcane. So there was sufficient diversity in the cropping pattern, which was there. So farmers are aware of the growing practices. Yes, if you introduce something, you will have to handhold him. But the challenge today on the crop diversification is this assured return that he gets on paddy, which no other crop today is able to give him at the market value that he gets. So in a way, yes, he would need some kind of a market access support to to get that transition.
Next question is from Mohit. The question says, what advantages farmers get in partial burning? Can they prepare their field sooner for next crop through partial burning?
So what we have seen when we have visited the field is yes, the partial burning appears to be much faster. So you can the top layer burns faster. So he can really get rid of the top layer fast. And because there is a stubble standing on ground, particular volume, say 50% of the stubble is still there. When that decomposes, it goes back into the soil. So from his perspective, it's both time and the soil health advantage that he gets. And by doing that, he can use any machine that he has, be it zero till drill, happy seeder, super seeder, rotavator, whatever.
Next question is from Ramandeep Singh. The question says, while we are talking about XC2, the most of the end users like biomass plants, base plants, are in Malwa region, but in Majha, Amritsar, Taran, Gurdaspur, these farmers are unable to use any end users. So how they adopt the XC2?
So, see, traditionally, as I said, there was not much focus on the XC2. So, there were market linkages that were happening on ground by farmers or by the balers who would buy these these bales and supply it to, say, cardboard manufacturers or small time power plant or whatever. But now, because of this focus, and there has been rollout of 41 biomass plants, bit of efforts have gone in mapping these areas. So if you look at the list of the proposed biomass plants, they are all addressing the high burning locations. So the intent is that the high burning Malwa region gets maximum investments so that they support this entire drive. So I think some bit of mapping has been done, and that is how the proposal is. Traditionally, yes, I agree. There were ad hoc arrangements that are being made, and that is the reason that it cannot address the entire problem if we go that way.
The next question is from Ramesh. The question is, how important is the cooperation between the states, especially neighbor states, to tackle the stubble burning issue?
if you look at the neighboring state, it is largely Delhi and Haryana, for that matter. Haryana per se is too small in this entire thing because of the less acreage and low burning count as compared to Punjab. Other than that, as far as support is concerned, I actually don't know how Delhi can support other than keeping patience so that this problem is addressed over a period of time. Initially, they were talking.
I think we've lost his voice.
Yes. So we are not able to hear you.
Ritesh, can you hear us? I think there seems to be some problem with the system. I think he'll re-log in. I think probably he's logged out. I think there are a couple of questions that remain to be answered, but we are sorry that we have lost him. And we can definitely take up these questions with him, to which he can reply later on. Priyanka?
So, sir, shall we move to the formal vote of thanks?
Yeah, I think we should.
Okay. So, I, on behalf of CERCA, want to extend my sincere thanks to Mr. Ritesh Bhatia for sharing his experience and thoughts, for having and accepted our invitation to deliver this talk. And it was real pleasure and honor to host him as our expert speaker this month. And finally, also want to thank participants representing from different sectors who took time off for attending this talk and making this session interactive through Q&A. Thank you once again, and we will announce our next scheduled talk through email and social media handles soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks a lot.